Oh my God, Charlie. Look at that van.
It is so big.
It's kind of gross.
It looks like one of those homeschool mom vans.
Who understands those homeschool moms anyway?
Hello and welcome to Adulthood is a Project, the show where two sisters discuss the lessons learned and growth earned through the realities of life. I'm Charlie, and you all know my sister Casey, and we're your hosts.
In today's episode, in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week. What? Where's my teachers?
To all the teachers.
We appreciate you.
We do.
But you know who I appreciate? I appreciate them homeschool mamas. They don't get enough credit out there for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Hell yeah.
So today we're going to discuss homeschooling. We are also going to discuss the ins and outs of homeschooling versus public schooling and the ability that you have to make that decision for your family. Let's get started.
Let's do it. All right. So to start off, we do have our new segment we have introduced with the trivia. And today it's my turn to ask the questions, and Sister Casey, it's your turn to have the answers.
All right. I'm nervous
Are you
because
ready?
you think I'm like a homeschool expert, and I'm not. And so I'm afraid you like try to.
I did. Listeners, I did tell her, I said, if we're doing trivia, like, I should get to ask this, and she's going to be the expert because she's homeschooled her kids, which we'll get into in the episode. But I was like, she's going to know everything that I would never know. Because, let's face it, A, not a teacher, and B, I don't have kids. So I don't have a clue on any of this shit.
So I hope you didn't try to trick too much.
No, I think I got you. Okay. So, are you ready?
I think so.
This is one I think you're going to nail because you and your kiddos love this kind of trivia anyways. But which of the U.S. presidents depicted on Mount Rushmore were homeschooled?
I think all of them.
Yeah, I would not have known that. I would have been like, oh, shit. You are right. Yes. All of them were homeschooled for most of, if not all of, their academic careers. So, all right, good one. Okay, you ready for question number 2?
All right, yeah.
All right. In what year was the word homeschooled added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary?
Homeschool. I'm gonna go with 1987.
Oh. It was 1998, actually. Okay, one for two. That's okay. This is a good one, and I would not have known this answer, but I was like, ooh, this is some interesting. On what game show did a homeschooled boy win $10,000 in 2005?
I don't know. I was trying to think if it would be like Jeopardy.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it was Jeopardy.
Jeopardy?
A 12-year-old named Joseph Henares, and he won in some back to school edition in September of 2005.
I was trying to decide if Who's Smarter Than a Fifth Grader was out by then or not.
Oh, damn, that would have been a good one. Yeah, for sure. Let let's see, that was 3. Question number 4. Okay. How do homeschoolers perform on SAT and ACT tests compared to other students? A, above average, B, average, or C, below average?
It's above average. It's above average. Above A.
Oh, that is correct. It was above average. Okay, so you got 3 out of 4. And then for the take all home, what famous television sitcom family was homeschooled? And I could have a hint in here, but I'm going to give you a second unless you want the hint.
They were homeschooled on the TV show?
Yeah, it's a famous TV sitcom, and the family was homeschooled.
Oh, it's a sitcom?
It was a sitcom. I would not have. I know. The hint gives it away. That's like, do you want the hint?
Well, I mean, at first I was gonna go like old school, and I was thinking like, like Little House on the Prairie, but that wasn't a sitcom.
Oh no. Okay, no. That wasn't the one that wasn't the one I looked up. You want the hint?
Yeah, hint me.
Okay. The daughter was named for a day of the week.
Oh, the Addams Family.
Yeah, I'm like the hint gives it away beyond belief. But yes, the original episode, I guess.
Went to public school.
Well, the original episode aired in 1964, and it showed Pugsley and Wednesday being homeschooled. So
interesting.
Yeah. So okay, you got 4, 5. I think we're tied.
All right.
Because I think I got 4 or 5 last week too. So
you did. You got 4 out of 5 last week.
Yeah, I'd say we're tied. I'm gonna go ahead and write that in our scorekeeper notebook over here.
Scorekeeper and I should keep my own scorekeeper notebook in case you try to cheat me out of a win.
Well, I guess there will always be audio you can go back to if you want to. Why would I ever cheat you? You're my best friend. I would never do that to you. No. Alright, so
because you're my sister.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't you worry.
Oh man.
Oh man. So homeschooling. Obviously, listeners, this is one of those episodes where I'm only going to have so much insight, and it's going to be more from a aunt perspective and B, just a generalized outside perspective on what I think is happening with kids in school these days compared to someone, aka Casey here, who is a parent and is a teacher in the system these days. So there's going to be two, different, I guess, viewpoints on how that might look right now. But
right,
watching,
and I homeschooled my kids.
You did, both my sisters. Obviously, Casey just said she did, and our other sister homeschooled for a majority of their children's lives, and so I've, witnessed that as the aunt side of things. And I remember years ago when I still thought maybe I'd have a kid or something. I thought, oh, I would so do that. I would so absolutely homeschool. And then I really thought hard about it, and I was like, actually, I'd get one of my sisters to teach them because I'm not going to do that. But I think that, but I think the idea is really good because I was watching these kids, be able to thrive in a situation that I would not have in their time frame or in the situations they might have been in. And I also saw how, from that outside perspective, I thought it was so freaking cool when your kids were like 6, 7-ish. I probably have that time frame wrong out here, but like 5, 6-ish. And we could go out in the middle of the day and go, grab some McDonald's and be silly and then go to the splash pad at the park for a little bit. And they'd already done their schoolwork, but I was having a break from work, so I had some free time in between my shifts and could like literally go get some cool ass time in with the niece and nephews.
Right. Yeah. So that would
Because they
be
weren't on a
a
school
big thing.
schedule.
Yeah, that's a big, huge thing. A lot of families that homeschool, a lot of times it really, it's a schedule thing, right? So now it wasn't, I'm not saying that's the only reason they homeschool. I'm saying it's part of their decision making. I have a friend, she's actually my grade level team at work. She's my partner. So that basically means we both teach the same grade level and we collaborate a lot.
Okay, yeah.
She homeschools
Gotcha.
kids also.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't think I knew that about her. Okay.
Yeah. And her and I we were actually just talking today, and she was saying, because her husband is, he's a doctor. And she said, oh my gosh, he would have never seen the kids if it wasn't for the fact that we homeschooled. Because of his schedule, if the kids were at school and he just, they would have grown up and never even probably seen their dad.
Right.
And so she said that was like one of their big decisions in doing it that way.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. And now I am also going to very, very, very clearly let listeners know when I say homeschool, I mean homeschool as in I picked the curriculum, I was the teacher. We didn't do the public school at home. That's not what we did.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I think about, the online schooling they offer. And I'm so happy with how my life has turned out. Like I've been so blessed in so many ways, all this awesome shit. And I remember though, before my senior year of high school, I wanted to move to Arizona. And I was like, let's just let me move down there. I'll finish high school. It doesn't matter about that. And our mom was like, you're not doing that. I'm like, you're such a stick in the mud. I'm sure those weren't the words I actually said, but I was like, mom, you don't get it. And I was like, I just want to move out there. I was like, no, you should stay here and finish school. And in the long run, I'm glad I did. My senior year was a really fun experience. Good times, whatever. I'm not going to get in that whole other side of that. Like, could have avoided that first ex-husband, but just saying, mom. But and looking back for real though, if they'd had online schooling as an option, because by the time I was going into my senior year, I spent 35 hours a weekend at a job, plus going to school, plus going in early for, choir practice or whatever extracurricular activity I was doing at the time. And I'm like, how nice would it be to just be 35 hours of this job? And if online school was an option, I'm jumping on there in a heartbeat. I can finish that in like an hour because most of my classes were bullshit. Sewing. Well, I mean, come on. Carrying a baby around or some shit. I don't know. Like, they weren't classes I was using.
Right. Yeah, and I
Spanish
think
4. I can still say hola.
I think no, I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying necessarily that there's anything wrong with the online public schools. That's fine if that's the choice that you've made. I think it's great that there's that option. I'm just being very clear in the fact that that's not homeschooling. a lot of people refer to it as homeschooling, and it's not. And I probably wouldn't be so defensive of it if it wasn't for the fact that, like, I live in Oklahoma, and we don't have a lot of regulatory laws. But a lot of these online schools are dubbing themselves as homeschooling. And I mean, it's one of those things where I think the homeschool community, the real homeschool, the people who homeschool without a government curriculum get a little nervous about this. They just don't want to be in that mix per se, right?
And that's fair. And
want the government the hell out of our business.
That's fair, because you want to teach your kids like actual life skills as opposed to what we get in public school.
Right, something like that.
And so you're saying, and so some states have different agendas you have to hit in order to be homeschooled compared to online or something?
No, so all states have different laws, rules, regulations, how they regulate homeschoolers. In Oklahoma, per se, they didn't have to do testing. I didn't have to check in with anybody. I didn't have to do shit. I said, I'm homeschooling these kids. And nobody checked in on me or anything. Whereas in other states, you have to, I mean, some states are really strict. You have to present, like, a curriculum to the local school district. You have to test your kids, all these things, just to demonstrate that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh, okay.
So each state's different.
I mean, okay, and that makes sense. And I'm kind of thinking about, I feel like homeschooling is a lot more acceptable now than it used to be, because I'm thinking back, when we were kids, and you heard about someone being homeschooled, like, they're so socially awkward, and they're nerds, and they're weird. I just don't think that's as much the case anymore.
Oh, it's definitely not. Well, and I'll tell you, that's one of those funny things too, is because Jaybird was homeschooled back in the day.
Oh, dude, that is right.
Us.
Dang. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Obviously, yeah.
And so whenever I went and said, listen, man, like, I'm gonna homeschool these kids, he was up in arms. He was not happy. Didn't like it at all.
He would have had double the size of his classroom compared to his brothers, compared to what your kids would have.
No, right? But,
yeah.
And he and I did have to have one of those talks where I just had to be like, hey, listen, man, it's not the same as it used to be. Like, homeschooling's changed a lot since the 90s. And, I mean, thank God, right? And, also, though, thank God for those moms who did it back then and paved the way. Because it definitely wouldn't be where it's at now had it not been for those moms.
And I can only imagine, because those moms who had to put up with the full on, like, your kid's a weirdo, or they don't know how to do this, like, they just had to sit there and deal with it, right? And now I will make jokes. Everyone knows. I think I've said it multiple times on this show. I love my nieces and nephews. I'd be like, aren't homeschooled kids weird? I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, they're weird. My nieces and nephews are weird, but it's not because they're homeschooled.
And nothing to do with that.
I'm kidding. I love you. I love you guys so much. No, they're totally just who they are. They would have been who they were, no matter whether they went to public school or homeschooled. Like, they would have turned into the amazing human beings that they are.
That's what I love about homeschooling. My kids were never peer pressured into being something they weren't.
Right.
And they had the ability to grow into the people they were and feel confident in that, because they're just hanging out at home with us. I mean, listen, I bullied them a little bit.
Someone had to. Not enough,
I mean,
apparently.
I have built some character, you know. And, no. But because they didn't have that feeling like they had to fit into some clique at school or whatever, they had that ability to just be the weirdos they were.
Yeah, just be them. Well,
and stand strong
and I don't know if this ties in exactly right with it, but I think about the whole, people are a lot of times, well, what about socializing your kids? How do they learn to be social with other kids? You're like, they are literally learning to be themselves. And I think you're right about that. Like, how cool to grow up without that outside peer pressure of being something you're not, just so you can fit in with a certain group or something,
And that socialization. I mean, in public school, it's name any time in your adult life where your entire world is made up of just people your same exact age, all in one room, like 20 of you. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at work. It doesn't
That's so
happen
true.
in any situation, in any social situation. It just doesn't happen.
That's so true. Like, yeah, you usually have someone older than you, someone younger than you, and then some your same age. Like, yeah, dude, I didn't even think about it that way, but that does make a lot of sense. Like,
Right.
the same class, the same exact age is not going to make a difference.
Yeah. So, it's a matter of just, I mean, my kids, they're, one of them, not a social individual, right? Sunny boy, he's definitely more introverted, more to himself. It's not that he won't socialize. He just definitely is more picky about who he socializes with, right? He's very much just, I think these people are idiots.
We all should be a little bit more at times, right?
The flower child, she's always been the social bug, right? She's very extroverted, and I will say, like, that was difficult because she's so extroverted. She's just stuck at home with me and her brother. So trying to find those extra things for her to do, right? Like co-op and, just different activities that she could be a part of just to get her that social interaction.
Yeah.
Because she needed it. She needed it.
I think a lot of that can depend on, like, where you grew up, like if you're in a small town compared to a big town compared to, as you mentioned, the co-ops. And I'm not going to pretend to describe to our listeners that have not been in the homeschool realm what that is, because I only have an aunt's perspective. Co-op, which meant they went with other kids that were in the same grade level. It didn't mean the same age, as we were discussing. It didn't mean that they were the same age, but they were learning the same stuff. So someone who's like, you might have a parent. I'm going to dumb this down. And if I do this wrong, sister, you tell me, okay? So you got 5 parents, and one's really good at math, one's really good at English, one's really good at science, one's really good at history. Let's go with 4 parents because I'm going to forget the 5th. Anyway, 4 parents. That parent that's really good at history is going to take all these other parents' kids. So say each parent's got a couple kids, right? They're going to take all 8 kids, and they're going to be like, oh, we're going to do history over here. And they can explain history in a way that the parent that's really good at science isn't going to understand. And they're going to be able to relate it to them and explain it. And at the same time, the history teacher, her kids are going to be around the science teacher's kids, the history teacher kids, now I forgot all the, dang it, I'm not good with all these things, but they're all going to be around all those kids.
So, yeah, and what you're describing here is more like an academic co-op, where where they're doing their core curriculum with a teacher 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week, depends, and then their homework is sent home. We did do an academic co-op 1 year, I think, for the flower child. But for the most part, we did like an extracurricular type of co-op. And we would kind of base
Oh,
it
okay.
off
Or
of,
like art or
now we would do like
something.
history. Yeah, we would do art. But like one of our co-ops, like it would be history, but it would be presidential history class for
Of course it was.
anybody who's in like 6th grade through 12th grade. Or if you were doing a literature class, it would be movies and like books that were movies. And so they would, it's like a book club. They would get together and discuss this book. And then at the end of the semester, they would all get together and have like a little movie party together
Okay.
type of thing.
Okay.
So I mean, and then others were just like an art class and PE and those things that maybe you're not great at hitting at home. Music.
Gotcha.
I did 1 year, I taught the kids, like the high schoolers, I did a career exploration one. So yeah, I taught all the high schoolers this class, and they didn't have to come to it. They could have gone to a different class that was going on during that time for high schoolers, but it was between my class and I don't remember what else. So they just kind of picked, and that's the class I would come to. And I just had a bunch of, like that class, I just had a bunch of my friends or people that we knew come in and discuss different career options with kids and
Okay.
how they
Yeah.
landed on it and different.
Okay.
So
Okay, so that does make it. So yeah, co-op could be two different things then at that point.
if you want to socialize your kids, you can socialize your kid whether you homeschool or not. Period.
Oh my God, yeah, take them to the damn playground. My God, get over it. Like,
Right?
just many ways. And I don't want to get all like, I don't know enough about the background on it. However, it has popped up in a couple of reels. Actually, I've seen this week, and
Uh-huh.
I knew what you and I were going to discuss on our episode today, so I kind of knew about that already. How school even got started, and it was Rockefeller, right? I think John was he John D. Rockefeller? The whole idea was like schools were designed to put your kids into a factory,
Yep.
like 40-hour work week. And the reel I saw was, kindergartners, well, rainbows, multicolors, and yay, and happy go lucky. We're all at school. And by like second grade, most of the stuff in the classrooms is kind of like drab down. You got your grays, your browns, bleh. And then, you're set on this like, get up, go to school, sit in these classrooms, stop for your lunch break, go back to school. And then you get done, and then you can have free time. It was literally designed by people that were building factories to make this country what it is, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's why they made the school system what it is anyways. So if that's true though, then what the hell, why are we still giving into this whole school shit?
Well, I'm gonna go with A, it is true. Rockefeller, his quote is, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. Why do we keep it up? Well, I mean, like, quite frankly, and it's one of those frustrating things as a teacher, but I would tell you, I think a lot of society tends to look at the school system as their daycare. It is. I mean, we are down to the fact that we need
yeah,
a 2-income family. So most families don't have a parent who can stay home, financially speaking.
sure.
And so, and if you can stay home, you're basically, I mean, you're not encouraged to think that you're smart enough to educate your kids at home. No. You're going to want to go ahead and send them through the system that made you as uneducated as you are so that you can't educate them. Go ahead and send them to that system, please.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's definitely, I feel like a lot of times school is just looked at as a daycare.
I don't think you're wrong about that, honestly.
And so you'll see a lot of these teachers who get upset. Well, not teacher, I'm sorry. A lot of parents get upset because you're starting to see a lot of schools switch over to a 4-day week. I know around here anyways. I don't know about out there.
I've heard about that trying to get pushed out there for sure.
And parents are losing their shit. What am I supposed to do with my kids? Well, I have to go to work. I still got to work. Man, I don't give two shits. They're your kids.
Honestly, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Because we've set up to that whole school system designed to make us factory workers literally have us working 40 hours a week, 5 days a week.
Yes, it does.
So, unless there's another option, you're still working that 5th day. And all of a sudden now, like you said, your daycare is like, I can't take him on Fridays. Shoot.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do now?
Oh my
I still got to go to work for the man.
Yeah.
People are pissed about a 4-day school week.
Yes.
And I get it, right? Like I've watched parents struggle as it is.
Oh yeah.
Because if they could stay home and educate their kids, they probably would, but they can't because they need 2 incomes to keep their freaking house.
I would say most of it. I would say a lot of them would not.
Need that second income, you mean?
No, I'm saying a lot of them wouldn't stay home and educate their kids.
Oh, if given the opportunity?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's going to definitely... Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to back myself up. Back myself up a little bit. You know what? It might depend on their socioeconomic status.
If they're dumb and uneducated, they would choose not to because they'd be like, I don't know how to teach. I look at the math getting taught these days. Like, I didn't understand the math getting taught in my day.
But no, like these. I mean, you can't even get. I'm sorry, but where I work, I can't even get these parents interested enough to come to a parent-teacher conference half the time.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Educate your kid at home? Hell no.
Mm.
You know how many parents have told me during school hours, that's your kid, don't call me.
And that's sad. That's so sad. That shouldn't be that way. But you're right, it is looked at as a...
If that was my kid, I'd be whooping their ass right now. It ain't mine. They're still yours, even during school hours, I promise you.
Yeah. And you're right, it is looked at as a almost daycare at this point, which is sad.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
I think
I'm grateful I don't have children to have ever had to make that decision.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful.
I mean, you would have been teaching them anyway, so not my problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would have just... Listen, I tell my kids all the time, I was like, I better not ever see my grandkids in the public education system. I better not see it.
I'm all, kids, go to Auntie Casey's house. She's got something to tell you about today. Mama needs a break.
Man. But like my kids, and they were homeschooled, but both of them are both very much like, yeah, I don't want to send my kids in the public education system. That's wild. I'm like, I know.
It is kind of wild, dude. Which I do believe we're cutting funding for somewhere now. I won't get into all that shit, but.
But I will say, I do also understand, listen, homeschooling's not for everybody. I don't want to put it out there like, I think less of you if you don't homeschool. Oh my God, no. Homeschooling's not for everybody. Not everybody's cut out for it. And, so many things go into play when it comes down to homeschooling. And so if you have your kid in the public education system and, you're doing what you can at home because you're a parent that cares about your kid and their education, and so I'm not trying to say I look down on you or anything like that. I just want to make sure.
You absolutely. Okay, and I'm going to just say, I'm going to speak for you, but I know you don't, because you think about this in a whole general aspect. Even, I don't know when the first teacher, that should have been a good trivia question, was when the first teacher came around. Teachers have been around for years for a reason. Right. So that's why I'm like, no, I know you're not down on people that send their kids to school. We've been sending our kids to school since God knows when, right? Why we've maybe reverted back to homeschooling after all these years of sending kids to school is, right. Things have changed and society has changed, but there's been teachers for years for good reasons. We're just trying to open up a discussion about where are we going at this day and age? Like what does that look like for our future now that there's so many options out there with homeschooling?
Yeah, there are, and there's a ton of options, especially now, like what we were talking about with the online public school. That's an option, and I do see a lot of parents taking it because, especially once your kid hits that age where they can be home alone for a while during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, why not, right? Like, the school system can be a scary place. It's scary.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go through so many trainings for what happens if I have an active shooter in my school.
Yeah. It's scary. God bless it. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh God, I didn't even think about that level of shit, but yeah.
So yeah, if you have that option and you're able to take it, and I do see a lot of parents, like once their kids hit that age where they can be home and the parent has, the ability to contact them throughout the day, they'll take that online school option.
Yeah, I would. I totally get that too, for sure.
Yeah. So, listeners, we're curious. What's your takeaway here? I mean, is there one thing that you think that parents should consider the most when they're making that decision about public school versus private school versus homeschool versus online public school?
Gosh, I mean, I'm not a parent, but my top one is like time, money. Ooh, I don't know. We'd love to hear your answers on that one for sure.
Yeah.
And our lesson learned and growth earned, I'd say on this one is, if you are a parent, just choose the option that works best for you and your child. Make sure that you're teaching them in the long run the life skills and the knowledge that they need to get through adulthood.
In our next episode, we're going to explore living in the moment. You're going to get our hot take on it. Thanks for listening. Until next time, go out there and be your favorite self.
If you are enjoying what you hear, be sure to leave a review to help others find us. And make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite listening platform to catch all our future episodes.